Hey, this is Pat, and today we're checking out the all-new Bell Moto-10 MIPS helmet. Now, if the Moto-10 looks familiar, that's because it's based on the Moto-10 MIPS spherical helmet. That is what Eli Tomac wears, that's what Cameron McAdoo wears, and a few other pros on the Supercross and Motocross grid. What you're looking at here is going to be a step down from that. So now this is going to be the middle option within Bell's line. If you're not looking to go all the way up to the carbon fiber MIPS spherical system, the regular MIPS version here with the Moto-10 is going to have a fiberglass shell. It's using like a tri-composite shell, which uses fiberglass, carbon Kevlar, as well as carbon fiber mixed into it instead of the pure carbon fiber option in the top of the line, but you're also saving on the cost. This is coming in around $550 for the standard versions, gets up closer to $600 for graphics like the one I have in front of me. But what you're looking at is nearly a $200 to $300 savings, just getting you out of that top of the line one with a couple features missing. But a lot of the features that I liked about the Moto-10 spherical are kept in the Moto-10 MIPS. So I'll talk about that back and forth. This helmet is the one I've been testing for quite a few weeks here. I actually lawn darted over the bars at Field of Dreams over in New Jersey in this helmet, and you can actually see it's got a couple dings on this side as well as some dirt dug into it from when I cracked a rib and my Pride all in the same day and slammed into it. So I've crashed in this helmet, I've been riding in it for quite a few weeks, and I really like it, especially considering I've actually owned the Moto-10 spherical for a few years. It was my go-to race helmet for hare scrambles, for MX. This is my limited edition on the first run. I've actually had 3 other ones as well since this came out a few years ago. So I do know the Moto-10 spherical line. That's why I feel confident in saying a lot of the features and the price saving makes the Moto-10 MIPS over here on my right that much more enticing. But I'll go back and forth throughout the entire video talking about, again, the top of the line version over here in the spherical compared to the MIPS version. They look very similar side by side, but the one thing I will call out, the easiest way to tell them apart, the new Moto-10 is actually using a single piece shell all the way throughout, whereas the spherical was 2 different shells that were sonically welded together, so you had one giant vent running down the sides. You can actually see the break between the shells over here. That's the main difference visually from the exterior, as well as the fact that this is carbon fiber. This is going to be that fiberglass composite material. So I'll go back and forth talking about the main differences, because again, considering this is the top of the line helmet, I think they share a lot in common, which is even better for you as a consumer because you're just saving coin while still getting the protection. But let's start with the features across the board here. I mentioned the shell size. You are still getting 3 shell sizes across the entire range, exactly like we saw with the Moto-10, because it's using the same shell molds and everything like that. It's going to be extra small to small, medium to large, and extra large up to 2 extra large is going to be that last and final shell size with 3 different EPS liners inside to make that customizable fit. It's DOT and ECE 2206 safety rated, which is exactly what we're looking for. Gives you a lot of the newer protections that ECE 22 tossed into the mix while still keeping it DOT compliant. If you want to take this on dual sports, if you want to rip around in enduros, anything where you touch the street, you would legally need to have that DOT certification. The one cool part I will say is the Moto-10 spherical is a little bit heavier. That spherical technology inside did make it about 3 pounds 8 ounces in a medium. In a medium in the all-new Moto-10, it's going to be a lot lighter weight. It's 3 pounds 4 ounces in that medium, so a lot lighter, something you can really feel because it's very well balanced, but I like that they've shedded weight across the board. Intermediate oval though in the fitments, so it's a little bit longer front to back than it is side to side, which is perfect for the US market and fits true to size. I'm always a medium in the Bell Moto-10 spherical. Bell Moto-10 MIPS fit me in a medium spot on, and I'm a medium in almost every helmet out there, so I like that they've kept the fit very consistent. But let's start at the front, work our way back, really show off a lot of the features, see if this is right for your gear in your riding closet. You do have a chin vent, a direct chin vent. There's no side ports like we've seen on the MX-10, but you do get that main front vent, which does have a debris guard, a piece of foam inside of there you can pull out, get a lot of the dirt out of there so it avoids hitting you in the mouth. So I like that they're using a metal screen over top of it, but they're also using that debris guard in there. And inside that entire chin bar is going to be a layer of EPP, or expanded polypropylene. That's going to be much better for longer impacts, or I should say more impacts over time. EPS crushes and it's a one and done system. EPP gives you more impact, so if you are hitting the front of the helmet, if you're going down in a little digger or something like that, you get a little bit of a face slam in there. It's going to protect you on there, and that actually wraps around to the side, which is one of my favorite features, again, especially after crashing in this helmet, which I'll even use this side just because this is the side that I actually hit the ground on. This is the no missed races system. We saw it on the Moto-10. We actually saw it benefit a lot of pros out there because it's a little bit of EPP on the side that helps absorb impacts to the collarbone. So you get a nice cutaway for what we call a hawksbill to keep it away from the collarbone. But then the first thing that would make impact with that collarbone is going to be foam instead of the hard shell, keeping that collarbone a little bit more intact. It only takes about 10 pounds or so of force to break collarbone. So I like having that in there. They actually call it the no missed races, which I think is a pretty clever name. If we whip it around to the back, one thing I'll call out, nice flat area for goggles to strap onto. I never have issues with the goggle straps, which always have silicone these days, in grabbing on. So nice, clean area there, and then you get some exhaust vents at the back. It's really just the exhaust vents at the front. The main ones are in that chin bar, but I will point out around the goggle, they've actually designed it into the shell, which we saw with the original Moto-10. So I like that they're adding that in there. They're keeping, again, the shell is pretty much exactly the same with the exception of the split design, so you're losing that exhaust vent down the side. If you want that though, the Moto-10 spherical isn't going anywhere. That's still going to be their pro option out there on the helmet. But considering like I said, I went over the bars, I slammed in the ground, I cracked a rib and bruised my ego, and my shoulder and my head pretty much took most of the impact, and I didn't feel a thing. My head was totally fine. It was just the chest that took most of the damage. So I'm already really happy with the performance of the Moto-10 MIPS when it comes to the performance. Well, let's talk about that MIPS interior liner. Let's get to the interior on here. One thing before I actually do that, I'll call out, it's the exact same peak visor as we saw with that. It's breakaway. It's something you don't need tools to go ahead and use. It just has a simple pickup and turn system on the side, so it's going to break away in the event of an accident. I've never had an issue with this peak visor, and I don't expect any with this one just because it's, again, the exact same design. Getting to the interior, it is a double D-ring system with the magnet closure, so it's a lot easier to find its home when you're putting the helmet on. But one cool part is you do get the Magnifusion cheek pads. That is still exactly the same as the upper version. So it's just magnets that go ahead and lock it in. Super easy to pull it out if you're cleaning the helmet. If you're cleaning the cheek pads, you can easily pop them in and out, and it does make it emergency release. So if you are in an accident, they can remove the cheek pads pretty easily, and you can see all the EPS inside of there. Again, just taking out the other side. If I go for the top liner on here, I'll get the snaps out. Really cool design to the top liner when I get in there, because it is a bit more aggressive at the front, but it keeps a lot of the extra fabric away from your head. It allows the sweat and air to go back away from your eyes. So I do like the design of it. It's two snaps at each side, but they moved it so far to the side of the helmet that it's not something you feel any pressure points even after the helmet breaks in over time. But this is gonna be the main difference I'll point out on here, is that unlike the top of the line version, it's just using a classic MIPS slip liner inside there, which is fantastic. We've seen that in other helmets for the past few years and actually being mandated in a lot of race series. You just want that rotational protection. The main difference between the top of the line was MIPS and Bell actually worked together to design the spherical system, which uses multiple layers inside of there to create the EPS as the entire thing that moves around. They're just going with a much more simple MIPS design here with the MIPS Evolve liner inside of that to help with the movement. Again, that just helps alleviate the cost. There's a lot of investment that goes in the spherical. It's very expensive to manufacture. Having just a MIPS liner, which already does the job and is proven to work very well, is just as easy as using it as the spherical system inside there. So really cool way to save costs. There's not too many channels underneath of it to help flow air, I will say that, but there are a lot of cutaways at the side of the cheek pads, at the back of the helmet, just to help exhaust as much hot air out of the helmet as they possibly can. Otherwise, it's just EPS inside of there to go ahead and give you a little bit more impact protection should you go down. But all in, again, I like what Bell is doing here. They're bringing everything into the 10 line, so that even the MX-9 isn't being replaced by the MX-10, which is a little brother to the MIPS Moto-10 here. So again, across the entire line, you now have a good, better, best. You have the MX-10 as a great option if you want to just get into a price point. You have the Moto-10 MIPS if you're looking for that mid-range, and then you have what the pros are wearing in the spherical. Still out there, still available, something that go watch Cameron McAdoo's crash from Arlington a few years ago when he ragdolled, and that will tell you everything you need to know about that helmet. That is exactly why I started wearing it. If he's able to crash like that, get up and still make the start after they restart the race, that can't be too bad of a helmet. I've crashed in a ton of them, so I will say it's something that I really like. As far as the eye ports go, no issues with goggles. Everything across the board matches with the Moto-10 spherical, and that's what I love. They didn't skimp on any of the areas that you would really notice, but you're able to save a ton of cash if you go down to the Moto-10 MIPS instead. But if you have any other questions about this, you're still confused about the line, or if you want to know which one's right for you, click that info button. That'll take you to the product page where you can read other rider reviews and see what other riders are saying about this all new lid. Don't just take my word for it. If you still have questions after that, you're trying to figure out which one's right for you or the right size for you out there on the trails, give our customer service agents a call. They're all riders, happy to help you get set up for your next ride. I want to thank you for joining me and checking out the all new Bell Moto-10 MIPS helmet. I'm Pat. I'll see you in the next video.